Are you ready, Ms. T?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We are back on the record.
Judge, I'm just going to...
Let the record reflect the jury is outside the courtroom. Mr. Hermes has an offer. Come on up, Ms. Carr. Yes, sir.
Judge, I'm going to offer State's Exhibit number 316. It's going to be a still image of where the dowel rod was placed by Dr. Nguyen on me and well the court yesterday. Mr. Roberts.
There was a picture taken of that?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. That was all I had, Judge.
It's a minute.
And Ms. Carr is here, Judge.
Ms. Carr, you may make yourself comfortable. I know you realize that you are still under oath. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. You all may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Hermes, are you ready to continue your direct examination of Ms. Carr?
Judge, I just passed Ms. Carr.
Ms. Carr, you do realize you are still under oath, is that correct?
Yes.
Will it be you, Mr. Robyn?
Yes, Your Honor.
I never can get used to saying Mr. Robyn.
All right. All my life, it's a recurring thing. Ms. Carr, welcome to the Mr. Rogers neighborhood. Trying to keep your visit here very short. You were very thorough yesterday. You, part of your, well, just to be clear, you're a crime scene analyst, correct?
Correct.
Which is a civilian position within the Dallas Police Department.
Yes.
So there's some sworn police officers in that unit and civilians, and y'all are always busy, correct?
Correct.
And you don't, we're going through the photos of the uniform and the utility belt. You don't wear that. You don't wear a uniform with a weapon and a utility belt.
I do wear a uniform, but no, I don't wear a utility belt because I'm not sworn.
Okay. And so your role on September 6th into the morning of September 7th was to document clearly the existence of the crime scene as you entered it, correct?
Correct.
And there was, we saw some photos where I guess a stool had been tumbled over. Things in a crime scene can be moved about when paramedics and officers are rushing in, correct?
Correct.
And so your role is just to document how it existed once all that clears, correct?
Right. Once I get there, how I see it.
All right, and if we could show State's Exhibit 106. And all right, there we go. And so if you can point out on the screen where the casings are. And so just like stools and things that get overturned, in your experience, have you seen that casings that you find could have been moved significantly due to officer movement and other variables in the crime scene before you get there?
Yes.
And they're very light and they're very easy, when officers are rushing in and focused on other things, to kick, and they could be feet away from where they were originally found, correct?
Correct. They're easy to miss at times.
That's good. there was a defect in the wall that you marked as
Defect A.
defect A, and that was the only bullet defect that you found, correct?
Yes.
I have nothing further to
Is there a redirect?
Yes. Ms. Carr, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming back. As far as the crime scene processing of the scene, is that directed by the investigators?
The processing of the crime scene is done by the crime scene analyst on
Right.
scene.
But if there's something that the detectives want done because it's part of their investigation of the case, do they ask you to pay attention to certain items?
Yes.
Did the detectives, and at this time here, Dallas Police Department detectives from September the 6th into September the 7th, you know, when you worked that very long shift,
Yes.
they were working the crime scene, right?
Yes.
They were directing the crime scene.
In a way, yes.
Okay. Did they find it important? Did they ask you to process the couch to see whether or not there was any blood evidence on the couch?
No, they did not.
So, for whatever reason, they didn't ask you to do that.
No.
Okay, so did you do that?
No, we did not process the couch for blood.
And did the Dallas Police Department, the detectives who were in charge at that time, ask you to seize the red floor mat that was out in front of Mr. John's apartment when you got there?
No.
All right, and so did you just leave it there?
Yes.
You left it there on the 6th?
Yes.
You left it there on the 7th?
Yes.
And then you don't know what happened after that because the investigators in the case changed, right?
Correct. Once I cleared, I never went back.
So there was, at least according to the detectives with the DPD, there was no evidentiary value to them in seizing that mat at that time.
At the time, no.
I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Carr, were you aware that at least an investigator from the Dallas County District Attorney's Office was at the scene, either in those early morning hours?
No, I was not aware.
Nothing further.
I have nothing else. Thank you, Ms. Carr.
May she be excused?
Yeah, I can.
No objection.
Thank you very much. Ms.
Thank
Carr.
you.
Texas calls Officer Nguyen.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please make yourself comfortable.
Good morning, Officer Nguyen. Would you please say and spell your full name for the court's reporter?
Full name is Nguyen.
Okay, spell that for her.
First name is T-U, middle name is M-I-N-H, last name is N-G-U-Y-E-N.
And Officer Nguyen, would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how you're employed?
How am I, sir?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Repeat your last question, sir.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a Dallas police officer at a Dallas police. I work at Central Patrol.
All right. How long have you been a Dallas police officer?
I've been a Dallas police officer for over 5 years now.
All right. And you're in patrol right now?
Yes.
Back on September the 6th, 2018, were you one of a number of Dallas police officers that responded to the Southside Flats on an officer assist call?
Yes, I was.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Officer Nguyen, do some Dallas police officers have body cam videos?
Yes, they do.
Do some Dallas police officers not have body cam videos?
Some don't.
All right. On September the 6th of 2018, were you wearing a body cam?
Yes, I was.
And have I showed you that again this morning and at a previous meeting that you and I have had?
Yes, sir.
Does that body-worn camera that is indicative that it belonged to you, is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw for your time inside apartment 1478?
Yes, sir.
I offer, and is that contained on State's Exhibit number 21, which I played for you this morning?
Yes, sir.
I offer State's Exhibit 21.
No, Judge.
It's admitted.
Do I have permission to publish, Judge? Your Honor, may I
You
publish?
said that was State's Exhibit what?
21.
You had medical records marked as 21. Do you not
Have-
intend to offer?
No, maybe not at this point.
Yeah, it's admitted.
Officer Wayne, So the jury's already seen the perspective from one side of Mr. John. I just want them to be able to see it from the other side so they can just see it from both sides. Were you positioned kind of opposite Officer Lee and Officer Blair?
Yes, I was.
Okay. They were kind of up towards his shoulder and head area. Were you more down towards his feet?
Yes.
Now pause this about 18 seconds into your body cam video. Your audio hasn't actually activated yet, but you've activated your body worn camera, is that right?
Yes.
Who are those two people that you see further down the hallway as you're approaching apartment 1478?
That was Officer Amber Guyger and Officer Nam Dong and Sergeant Valentine.
All right, so is Sergeant Valentine, where is she coming from?
She is outside the door.
Okay. And what was Amber Guyger doing, what was the defendant doing as you were going into the apartment?
She was walking away.
Okay, was she on her phone?
I couldn't remember.
Stop the video at 22 seconds in. Does it appear that she's on her phone at this time?
Yes, sir.
Does it appear that she's texting?
It looks like it, sir.
And just as far as a relationship is what you're going to find out, what's happening inside 1478 right now is who is you're fixing to learn.
Officer Lee and Officer Blair was giving CPR to Mr. John.
All right. I've stopped this at 48 seconds in. Is this your partner right here, Officer Nguyen?
Yes, sir.
What is his name?
That is Officer Lopez.
What is Officer Lopez doing right now?
He is moving the ironing table.
All right. I'm going to go back here in just a second. At this particular moment in time, I want you to concentrate on what your hands are doing, okay? Okay, I paused it again at 59 seconds. Officer Nguyen, what is it you're doing with the complainant right now?
I'm treating him for shock.
Okay, and how are you trying to help him, though, specifically?
Circulate the blood just so it could move back this hard to get it pumping.
And what are you doing specifically to make that more likely?
I'm elevating his feet.
Okay, and in order to elevate his feet, what have you just moved?
I moved his shoes.
Okay, was that what we see with your hand? You just pushed them right back?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Elevate his leg. Come on, dude. Is there bandages?
So, again, I paused it at 1 minute and 12 seconds now. From your perspective, where you were down by his feet, is it fair to say that you're kind of angled with his body down by his feet?
Yes, sir.
All right. And then behind you is going to be the kitchen and hallway area, is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you get those shoes, you just kind of push them towards that hall and kitchen area.
Yes, sir.
It looked like it went out through the back. Is there a... Come on, Chief. Come on, Chief. Look at this couch. Look at your first aid. Look at this bathroom. stripes on. Oh, we got back down, Sergeant. We got it. Come on, bro. Yeah, roll around. Let's see if it's back. We'll get some distance. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, I got it. Come on, Chief. Even when we just switched already. He keeps running. He keeps like on the side. They are? How can you get them up here?
All right, I'm going to pause it at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Is it clear to you? Well, let me just ask. Is Mr. Jean alive or deceased, in your opinion, at this time?
He was still alive.
Okay. How would you describe his condition of life at this moment?
It was very faint.
Okay. But you could hear him making grunting noises.
Yes, barely.
No suspect. No, yeah. There's an officer out there. Come on, big top. Take it fast. Little bit. Like.
Yeah, he had no idea what was going on, although I didn't know why we were running.
Okay. Did you just see what Officer Blair did there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to show it to you again.
Take it fast.
Officer Blair is a gentleman with his hands on Mr. Jean's head. Watch his right arm.
Yeah, he had no idea what was going on, although I didn't know why we were running.
There's an ottoman that is behind you and Officer Blair as y'all are trying to give Mr. Jean life-saving CPR, right?
Yes, sir.
And what does Officer Blair do with that ottoman?
He moved the ottoman back.
Okay, he pushed it back, right?
Yes.
And again, help us understand just the layout of the apartment. He would have been pushing it back towards the back wall.
Yes, towards the back door.
Judge, I think that's all I'm going to publish. I don't want to just play it unnecessarily. Officer Wendell, I do want to ask you a question. Did you also, after DFR arrived, did you move a black backpack that was next to the lunch box and the ballistic vest? Did you move it from approximately that location more towards the back door just to get it out of the way?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Officer Wayne. Anything else? I'll pass the witness.
Officer Nguyen, I just have a few questions for you.
Sure.
I want to go over just a couple of areas of the video and show you another one. We can pull it up. And let's go to about 1 minute, 46 seconds. Yes. You were moving around a lot by the feed area when you first got in, waiting to assist the officers any way you could. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, can you pause that? Do you see, you're kind of at the feed area. Do you see that white object just to the side of Mr. John's left ear?
Yes.
Did that appear to be an AirPod? That if you have an Apple phone, that you can, sometimes you can buy AirPods that listen to music or whatever.
I'm not sure. I don't think I remember.
Okay. You weren't obviously taking note of anything in that great detail at the time, I guess.
No.
You were trying to focus on what you could do to help Mr. John.
Yes, sir.
The officers. And the ottoman there behind Officer Blair, could you tell how much he moved the ottoman back?
It doesn't look like much. Maybe a feet or two.
Okay. If we could move to 4 minutes and 27 seconds. Pause. Could you back it up a little? Right there. And lights come on. Can we see where the ottoman is at that point in time?
Yes, sir.
'68. And does that look like a still shot of what we're seeing from the video?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll offer defense 68.
Is it still showing this?
I have no charge. It's admitted. Were you gonna use the video for, Mr.
Give me 1 second.
I just want to give you appropriate lighting.
Video anymore this time. When you moved those shoes to put the pillow under Mr. John's feet, how far you moved the sandals?
I don't know exactly the right measurement, but it's maybe just right behind me.
Okay. Again, I guess that wasn't something you were really concentrating on at the time, was it?
No, sir.
Anyone more, Judge? offense 69, which is a still shot of Officer Hamilton's body cam.
No objection.
It's admitted.
Officer Hamilton that came into the apartment to help render aid.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you remember her coming in and also assisting?
She came in to, I guess, relieve Officer Lee and Officer Blair.
All right. But she moved around the apartment like you did. Well, I don't even know if you were paying close attention to her, but I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence, a still shot from her body-worn camera. And on it, we can see where you have the pillow elevating Mr. John's feet. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And we see another officer standing just to the right of where that pillow is. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And just behind his leg, can we see one of the sandals that was moved?
Yes.
Okay, that would be there, right, that area right there. Okay, so is that give the jury some perspective about how far you moved the sandal?
Yes.
Okay. And we see the pillow just to the, which would be to the right of it if you were facing coming in from the doorway, or how position you were in when you moved the sample. Is that right?
Yes.
So they didn't move very far.
No.
You moved the feet. You didn't change the position of Mr. John's body, did you? Other than
Just lifting it up.
okay, you didn't pull him down, pull him side to side. You just simply lifted his ankles up and placed the pillow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you, brief, Judge. Officer Nguyen, you see one of the two sandals on the body cam image that Mr. Shook just showed you, correct?
Yes.
All right, so that's one of the two. That was moved as well, is that right?
Yes.
But the one that you move on your body-worn camera that you see, that was between Mr. Jean's legs, almost up by where his knees were when you pushed him back, is that right?
Yes.
You don't see that second one on Mr. Shook's photograph, do you? You only see the other one.
Yes.
And just listen, I hope you don't think, because I know you can't be part of the whole trial. This is not a criticism. What you guys did was exceptionally heroic. Every one of you Dallas officers that went in. So I hope you understand this is not a criticism of you. But things are being moved, including those sandals, and we don't know how much more or less they were moved by you or probably the other 15 officers on the scene. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Is it just, that wasn't your concern?
No.
But at the very least, you have documentation on your body-worn camera that you at least moved one from between his legs back, and you said behind you.
Yes, sir.
All right. I just wanted to clear that up. Thank you for your time.
And you don't know if it was the right or left sandal, is that right?
I don't remember, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
May we be excused?
I have nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Texas call Stephen Cleary.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please make yourself correct.
Thank you.
Now proceed, Your Honor.
Please.
Officer Cleary, is that how you say your name?
Yes, it is.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Would you please tell the court reporter your full name and spell it for her, please?
Yes, it's Stephen with a PH and Cleary, C-L-E-A-R-Y.
And would you let the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know what you do for a living?
I'm currently a Dallas police officer assigned as a detective with a crime scene unit.
And what does a detective with the DPD crime scene unit do?
Our job is to respond to crime scenes, document those scenes photographically. Depending on whether you're doing a follow-up or the actual scene, you process the scene for latent fingerprints. You collect items of evidentiary value, collect samples within the scene for DNA testing, and test and photograph witnesses, complainants, and possible suspects for injuries, DNA, and gunshot residue.
Were you part of the Dallas Police Department crime scene response to the shooting by the defendant, Amber Guyger, of both and John, the day after it happened on September the 7th, 2018?
Yes, I was.
Were you asked to go back out to the Southside Flats and get some follow-up pictures?
Yes, I was.
All right. And have I shown you those pictures before?
Yes, sir, you have.
Now approach the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Detective, I'm showing what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibits number 188 through 245. Can you just take a quick glance just to make sure that you're familiar with those as being your pictures?
Yes, they do appear to be the photos I took.
Okay, and the photos that you took out there on September the 7th, 2018, do those fairly and accurately depict the condition of the scene on that time?
Yes, it does.
Now from 188 through 245.
No objection.
I'll admit it.
Commissioner Polish?
Yes.
All right. State's Exhibit number 188. Can you tell me what we're looking at?
This is the apartment door light, if you will, of apartment 1378.
All right, and were you made aware that apartment 1378 was going to be the defendant's apartment?
Yes, I was.
And then State's Exhibit 189, what are we looking at here?
This is where I actually started my photographs. This is out by the walkway. As if you look off to the left, that's the actual apartment office, and I'm looking in the driveway towards the parking garage.
Judge, could you turn the lights down just a little bit? All right, State's Exhibit number 190, what are we looking at?
This is basically following that driveway from the apartment office back towards the parking garage.
Okay. If this is the garage for the Southside Flats, can you describe, is it a solid structure or does it have openings?
The parking garage?
Yeah.
It is a solid structure, but with, much like you'd see any parking garage, it's has solid levels with a driveway that goes up, and but it's open outside.
All right, State's Exhibit 191.
This is as we're actually entering into the parking garage, walking towards the elevators to the right.
All right, so this is going to be the ground floor level?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And what are these, the elevator banks over here?
Yes, sir.
Over in this area? And what is this area over here?
That's the actual parking spots for the vehicles.
Okay. And are those gated off? Once you go up this ramp, a gated entrance to go up there?
I believe so. I can't remember that.
Okay. All right, State's Exhibit number 192. Again, this is going to be the ground floor with the elevator entrance.
That's correct.
State's Exhibit 193.
This is looking, if you can imagine, off to the right is where the elevators are, and I'm starting a series of panning photographs starting to the left.
State's Exhibit 194, just again panning.
Yes, sir.
195.
More panning.
All right. It looks like there's like a red placard over on up against the wall.
Yes, sir.
Still panning.
Yes, sir.
Still panning?
Yes, sir.
This is on the third level?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay. Still panning?
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't know if you can see it up with from the TVs. Do you see 319 here on this placard?
Yes, sir, I do.
So, is this on the third level?
Yes, sir, it is.
Continuing to pan 199,
Yes, sir.
200,
Still panning.
201.
I think that's the final panning shot.
State's exhibit number 202, what are you doing now?
This is where I'm photographing basically where I was standing, but looking past the elevators into the doorway that enters into the hallway.
Okay. And is this going to be the hallway on the third floor?
Yes, sir, it is.
Are there a number of lights, both on the ceiling and on like LED light blocks by the doors?
Yes, sir.
Continuing down that hallway,
Yes, sir.
this is again on the third floor.
Yes, sir, it is.
Get to the end of the first hallway on the third floor,
Yes, sir.
you make a left,
Yes, sir.
and is there another hallway?
Yes, it is.
All right, so right here, it looks like you might have not got this corner apartment. Do you remember there being like a decorative plant or decorative urn at this location?
Possibly.
Moving down, you're now moving towards what is going to be your destination, apartment 1378.
Yes, sir.
Moving towards 1378 still.
Yes, sir.
That's State's Exhibit 207, 208, 209,
Yes, sir.
and then 210.
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you see back here that decorative? It's hard to see up on those big TVs, but you see this decorative urn down there?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And is this going to be the outside of apartment 1378?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. Is there any floor mat whatsoever?
No, sir, it isn't.
Let me ask you this. Did you see any bright red half-circle floor mats anywhere along that path from the entrance of the third floor all the way to apartment 1378?
No, sir, I did not.
All right, then you go up to the fourth floor and then take the exact same series of photographs, again panning from the garage and then going down the hallways.
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. State's Exhibit 211. I'm just going to play them and ask you if it's a panoramic. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
212,
Yes, sir.
213.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's stop there. Do you notice the roof line from the fourth level that you didn't notice from the third level?
Yes, sir.
214, is that going to be the entrance into the building?
Yes, it is.
Continuing to pan.
Yes, sir.
215,
Still panning.
216,
Still panning.
217,
Panning.
218.
Panning.
And now from this perspective, you can see the roof of the building across the way. Is that correct in the air conditioning units?
Yes, sir.
219.
Still panning.
All right, what are we looking at with 220?
This is looking into the doorway, entering into the hallway on level 4. The scooter was already there, so one of the investigators actually used it to prop open the door.
Okay. And again, just in abundance of caution, just out of fairness, there's no reason to believe that scooter was there at the time of the shooting. You have no reason to believe that scooter was there at the time of the shooting.
I have no idea.
Okay. I don't think the scooter was there at the time of the shooting. Do you have any reason to believe the scooter was there at the time of the shooting?
No.
Okay. All right, now this is going to be the hallway on the fourth floor, is that right?
That's correct.
Walking down,
Yes, sir.
that was State's Exhibit 221, and this is State's Exhibit number 222.
Yes, sir.
All right. State's Exhibit 223,
Still walking down the hallway.
224,
We've gone around the corner.
okay? And when you turn around the corner on this one here, there is not going to be a large decorative urn right there on your right, is that right?
That's correct.
225, what are we doing now?
Still walking down towards the, down the hallway.
Okay, and can you see the top of the red floor mat that was outside of 1478 already before you even get in front of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 226. Now you've got to 1478, looks like you've taken a photograph. What are you trying to depict in State's Exhibit 227?
Showing that I'm arriving to the apartment above where 1378 is.
Okay, so this is apartment 1478?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Okay, and now you, just like you did from the floor below, you're taking the photograph back down the hallway that you just walked, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked you before, except for the red floor mat that appears to be in front of 1478 that's circular and in front of the door. Did you see any other brightly red colored floor mats anywhere along that pathway from the entrance to the fourth floor to here?
No, sir.
All right. As compared to the floor mats that existed, would you say that this one was more brightly colored than any of the others that you saw on this path?
I think that's a fair statement.
All right, State's Exhibit number 229, did you receive permission by way of a consent form to go into apartment 1378?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, and 1378 again is Amber Guyger, the defendant's apartment.
Yes, sir, it is.
Tell me what we're looking at here from it looks like the door has been open, and this is kind of the perspective of part of the apartment from the door. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What do you notice? Like, what was right here? You only catch a corner of it. But just right there as you open up the door, what was on the wall?
From this, it looks like one of those key racks.
Okay. We'll see if we can find it from the distance. Is it possible that it's kind of a rather long picture with a bunch of photographs on it?
It could be, yes, sir.
Right. And what do you see right here in the center as you're looking, I guess, right from the front door, if you're looking right down the hallway of the apartment, what do you have right there in the middle of your vision?
I guess the best way to describe that is like a half circle, maybe side table, coffee table.
Okay. And does it appear to have decorative objects like flowers on top of it?
Yes, sir.
And what do you have here on the wall?
Looks like a large clock.
Okay. The TV at the end of this particular hallway, does it appear to be a TV that's on a fairly tall stand?
Yes, sir.
You didn't see the size of the TV in 1478, so you can make a comparison.
No, sir, I
to the
did not.
size of this one. Okay, fair enough. State's Exhibit number 230, is this going to be, again, from the same position, but now you've angled your camera a little bit to the right?
I believe I've actually stepped inside and then angled my camera to the right.
All right, so you're a little bit more in from the previous perspective, and you're kind of angled more towards the right.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you see a large red, round ottoman anywhere in this photograph?
No, sir, I do not.
Do you see a living room carpet anywhere in this photograph?
No, sir.
Do you see like a rather large bookshelf that's kind of prominent in the corner of this particular picture?
Yes, sir.
Do you see any kind of table or frames here on the window?
No, sir.
The kitchen counter, there's a few items on the kitchen counter. Does it seem to be remarkably cluttered, though?
There's some objects on it. I wouldn't call it remarkably cluttered, but there's definitely some items on the counter.
Oh, yeah, and here on this, the biggest wall here without a door, does the defendant have any kind of wall art up on this particular wall that you can recall?
No, sir.
All right, kitchen perspective. Again, just showing this back wall here, do you see any kind of wall art there at all?
No, sir.
All right, do you see any kind of computer or workstation that's in this particular location here?
No, sir.
That was State's 231. The previous one, where I asked you about wall art, was State's Exhibit 230. State's Exhibit 232, is that just again panning in the kitchen?
Yes, sir.
233 is just panning back towards the doorway entrance in 1378.
Yes, sir.
All right, State's Exhibit 234, just going to again just continuing to pan.
Yes, sir.
235. Can you now see what this particular item is right up on the wall?
Yes, sir. It looks like a wooden board that has a couple of pictures on it.
And 236, is this going to be the pantry door?
Yes, sir.
237, what are we looking at here?
I'm standing in the kitchen and I've panned over, shooting across the end of the counter back towards that half round table.
238, continuing to pan.
Yes, sir.
239,
Still panning to the right.
240,
Still panning to the right from inside the kitchen.
241,
Still panning to the right.
I want to go back to 240. Are you familiar with television sizes?
A little bit, possibly.
All right. I guess, well, let me ask you this. What size TV do you have?
Maybe
Objective relevance.
Your Honor, it's going
Somebody's
off.
giving them a frame of reference over.
maybe a 45, 50 inch.
These appear to be smaller than that, if you can't tell, that's okay.
It's hard to tell from this angle.
I thank you for your honesty. All right, 241, I think we may have talked about that. Is that just continuing to pan?
Yes, sir.
242, is this going to just be from the living room now, looking back towards the wall?
Yes, it is.
Okay. One of the things I want to ask you, Detective Cleary, I don't think that you, we'll continue to look, but I don't think that you got some photographs of this particular corner right here by the door. If memory serves, I think this might be one of the only ones, but can you see that there's a rather something, there's something hanging off the wall right there by the door?
Yes, I can see that there's something there. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay, can you, looking back there again, can you see this thing on the wall? Does it look like it has like a beaded necklace or something ornamental on it as well?
Yes, sir.
Now that was, by the way, 242 and 243. Showing you that 244, just again continuing to pan.
Yes, sir.
This particular doorway leads to the bedroom.
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there anything of any evidentiary value that would cause us to want to look inside the defendant's bedroom?
Not to my knowledge.
And then this is going to be the hallway, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
That's 245. Thank you, Judge. Detective Cleary, the investigators with the Dallas Police Department were still working this particular case on September the 7th, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you were out there and you took photographs of the red floor mat that was in front of apartment 1478, right?
Yes, sir.
Did anybody from the Dallas Police Department tell you we should seize that as evidence so we can show a jury?
No, sir.
So you just left it?
The problem with my perspective on a follow-up like this, I didn't work the scene. I don't know the little nuances of the case. So my knowledge of this case has to be what information is passed to me. And so when I was called out to location, I'm requested to do overall photographs of level third level, fourth level, and overall pictures in the case. So from my perspective, I don't know what's evidentiary value and what's not. I only have what information is passed to me.
Absolutely, completely understandable, but the investigators who are working this case, they know what they want seized as evidence, so they can. Let me do this. When you're directed to seize evidence in a case, you keep evidence for a reason, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it so that if a case has legs, it may be used in a trial?
That's correct.
Okay. The investigators in the case, they make the decision on what evidence they want to seize and what evidence they choose not to seize. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At least through your perspective, through September the 7th now, were you told by anybody with any of the investigators, no matter what agency, to seize that red mat?
No, sir.
Okay. And, well, I think I'll just look at that. Detective Cleary, I thank you for your time, sir, and I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Detective Cleary, just a few questions. Do you know or were you aware whether the Dallas County District Attorney's Office was involved in the investigation at that point?
Yes, I was.
And were they involved in the investigation?
Yes, I were.
And did anyone from the District Attorney's Office direct you to do anything with the mat or anything else?
No, they did not.
May I approach and grab some photos, please? Now, Detective Cleary, you took the photos in sequence, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you can track which photos are on the third floor, which photos are on the fourth floor by the sequence of the photos, is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you find when you were at that apartment complex that there are not a lot of visual indicators to indicate what floor you're on?
I think that's a fair statement.
And so, for example, State's Exhibit 196, just looking from that perspective, there's nothing to indicate what floor, what hallway you're going to walk into, correct?
That's correct.
Now, if you want to go over to the elevator, there's a tiny number right there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there's numbers that are facing from the inside of each edge of the elevator, correct?
I believe so.
And if you wanted to really look, there's reserved spots, signs that you could look at to see that are numbered for the numbered spots. But if you're just walking in, there's nothing to indicate what floor you're on, correct?
Yes, sir.
And again, 202 shows another spot. Again, no indicators. One thing we know, I mean, that the scooter you had propping up the fourth floor door, but that we don't know. It's conceded, I believe, that wasn't an issue in this case. So, besides the scooter, there's nothing to indicate a difference between the fourth and the third floors when you're just walking into that entranceway.
That's correct.
And when you go look down the hallway, this is the hallway of the third floor by sequence. We know that. If just looking at that, do you know what floor you're on?
No, sir.
And if you wanted to, you could look up into your right, and see the numbers, correct?
Yes, sir.
but looking at eye level, there's nothing to indicate this hallway is any different from the third floor to the fourth floor, correct?
That's correct.
States 209. Again, looking at eye level, there's nothing that indicates a difference between this door and this door, correct?
That's correct.
And the prosecutor asked you earlier, is this, it states 227. And just for the record, states 209 is 1378, states 227. He asked you if that was 1478. You said, I believe so. Is that basically because of the sequence of photos?
Yes, sir.
That's wins.
Nothing else, thank you.
Need to be excused.
No objection from the state.
No objection.
Thank you very much, officer.
Sorry, Judge Maverick, just return these.
Next call is Ranger Sean.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please make yourself comfortable.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here. Would you please state your full name for the court reporter
Michael Don Stoner.
and spell your name for me, please?
Last name Stoner.
And would you let the ladies and gentlemen of the jury know what it is you do for a living, sir?
Texas Ranger, work for the Texas Department of Public Safety.
Okay, as a Texas Ranger?
Yes, sir.
All right, were you part of the investigative team that, the subsequent investigative team that went out to Southside Flats as part of an investigation of the defendants and the shooting of both of John?
Yes, I was.
All right, did you take some photographs and video as part of the documentation of your investigation?
I took some video.
Okay. You didn't take any photographs of?
I do not believe so.
All right. Did you go out there, Ranger, on September the 7th of 2018?
I believe that's correct, the day after.
As far as the video that you took, did you take video of both the hallways of the third and the fourth floor of the apartment complex from, I guess, the main entrance? Can I approach the witness, Sean?
Yes.
Ranger? This is State's Exhibit 34A. Can you see that all right?
Yes.
All right. Did you go out there and take video of the hallway leading from the elevator all the way through the U-shape from garage to garage?
I started the video inside the garage, videotaped the garage area, and then worked my way, yes, around the U-shape.
Okay, great. For both the third and the fourth floors?
Yes, sir.
Have you had a chance to review those videos prior to your testimony today?
Yes.
Are those fair and accurate depictions of the hallways for the third and the fourth floor?
Yes, sir.
I offer State's Exhibit 261. I believe it's already in evidence.
It's already done, it's just.
You may publish it.
All right, Your Honor, I'm going to first publish video MVS. That's Michael David Sam _ 0126. Ranger, is this going to be the third floor beginning from the garage?
Yes, sir.
Ranger Stoner, is this going to be you just walking down the third floor hallway?
Yes, that's correct.
Ranger, if walking that entire horseshoe from the main entrance by the elevator down, left all the way to the end of that hallway, left again all the way to the end of that hallway, and then back out to the garage, did you see any bright red, rounded, half-round floor mats anywhere in that path?
No, sir.
Your Honor, this time I'm going to publish MDS 0127. Thank you, Your Honor. Ranger Stoner is now going to be basically the same path as best as you can recreate your walk and your speed, but now on the 4th floor of the Southside Flats instead of the 3rd floor.
Yes, sir.
Ranger Stoner, for the entire length of the 4th floor, down the main hall, left to the hallway that goes to 1478. Did you see any bright red half-circle floor mats anywhere in that path except for the one in front of 1478?
No, sir.
As a matter of fact, for the entirety of the circuit on the 4th floor, was the red floor mat the only one that was a bright red half circle right in front of the door on either the 3rd or the 4th floors?
Yes, sir.
In addition to the video that you took of the hallways, were you also asked to take video inside the defendant's apartment, 1378?
Yes, sir.
Have you had an opportunity to look at that video prior to your testimony today?
Yes, sir.
Does that fairly and accurately depict the state of apartment 1378 as of September the 7th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm going to offer State's Exhibit number 262. No objection.
Consent made.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes.
This is going to be State's Exhibit 262. The title of the video is JRO_6301. I'm going to pause publication at 2:02. Ranger, do you see any evidentiary value to showing the defendant's bedroom or bathroom?
No, sir.
For that reason, Your Honor, I'm going to skip over that part and I'm going to continue to publish State's Exhibit 262, beginning at 2 minutes and 51 seconds into it. Is that going to be the end of that particular video that you took, Ranger Stone?
Yes, sir.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Ranger Stone, my notes indicate that you took 4 photographs. So I just want you to take a look at these and tell me if you took these photographs or not. States 263, 264, then 265, and 266.
You recall taking those photographs?
No, sir.
All right. Nevertheless, do these photographs fairly and accurately depict the respective doors and floor mats of apartments 1378 and 1478?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to offer State's Exhibits 263, 64, 65, and 66.
No objection.
Very good.
And Ranger, these will be in evidence for the jury, but they just show, again, 1378 had no floor mat, 1478 had a red half-circle floor mat right in front of it.
Yes, sir.
Were you part of the canvass that was done incident to this case, where y'all tried to see what residents were home, what apartments were vacant? Did you
No,
have
sir.
any part of that? Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Ranger Stoner, just have a few questions for you. How long have you been with the Department of Public Safety?
A little over 24 years.
And besides, when you come out of the academy, you're in the Texas Highway Patrol as a trooper. From being a trooper to being a Texas Ranger, were you assigned to any different units, narcotics or CID or anything?
Yes, sir. I was in narcotics for approximately just under 5 years.
And then how long have you been assigned to the Texas Rangers?
It'll be 10 years in January.
And where are you currently assigned? Which company?
Company B, and I'm in Cleveland, Texas.
And so you're in Johnson County, and do you regularly assist law enforcement in that area with major cases, homicides, rapes, sometimes aggravated robberies, and officer-involved shootings?
Yes, sir, I do.
And have, depending on the case, sometimes one ranger can work a case, and sometimes there might be a group of y'all that work with each other, correct?
That is correct.
And in Company B, Ranger Armstrong is part of Company B, correct?
That is correct.
And do y'all rely on each other's expertise in working these cases and trust that each other, that the other rangers, specifically Ranger Armstrong, is well qualified to investigate homicide cases and make conclusions regarding those?
Judge, I'm going to object to relevance and bolstering.
It's the same.
In this case, who was the lead investigator?
Ranger Armstrong was the lead investigator.
And when you're the lead investigator on a case, you're going to make a lot of the calls, and all the evidence is going to go through you. For example, Ranger Simmons might be tasked with certain investigative duties. Ranger Stoner, you might be tasked with certain investigative duties. Ranger Daniel, Ranger Matlock, other rangers might come in, but everything's going to flow through Ranger Armstrong, correct?
That is correct.
Now, did you play much of a role in the investigation of this case?
Other than the initial response by our crime scene team, I was advised at that point that Dallas PD had worked the crime scene initially, so my only role at that point was to do the video walkthroughs.
And other than that, you didn't play a large role in going forward with the investigation. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir, that's true.
Now, I want to focus on State Exhibit 261. Ranger Stoner, what did you, when you're doing the walk-through videos, did you, when you're in the garage, did you capture all the visual indicators that would let you know what floor you're on?
All the visual indicators that I could see.
And there was a elevator. There's in the elevator, there's numbers inside the frame of the elevator that face each other, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And they don't face outward, correct?
That is correct.
And then there's a placard up to the left of the elevator that has a fire evacuation plan and has a tiny number up there, correct?
That's correct.
And then there are some reserved spots kind of to one end. If you look to the right of the elevator, there's some reserved spots, correct?
I don't recall that.
Now, when you're walking down the hallways, did you find that each floor on this apartment complex were exactly the same?
They were very similar, yes, sir.
Now, with regard to when you're walking down the hallway at eye level, is there anything on between the third floor and fourth floor? If you're just looking at the eye level, for example, of a person that's 5'3", or even from the eye level of the camera that you had, is there anything, if you're walking straight, that indicates a difference between the fourth floor and the third floor?
No, sir.
Now, if you're a fan of floor mats, you can keep track of floor mats if you look down, correct?
True.
And if you, the numbers are up and to the left, well above eye level, on next to each door, correct?
Yes, I believe they were incorporated in some lighting on the left side, about halfway up that lighting.
But if you're just looking at eye level, nothing indicates to you whether you're on the third or fourth floor unless you make specific note of either floor mats, if you know the difference between floor mats on the third and fourth floor, or up to the left the numbers, correct?
That's correct.
And if you don't look at the floor mats, then there's no way of telling a difference at eye level, correct?
That would be correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Ranger. I have no other questions.
We're going to take our morning break. We'll start back at 10:30.
All right.